All right, y'all, so let's talk about it. There's a big problem going on for a lot of Jamaican people right now. In fact, it's a lot of West Indians that's coming to Canada. And I don't think people do their homework about these places. In fact, I know they don't. They think doing their homework is talking to a few people that might be in certain places, and they tell you, "Oh, God, it's good out there, everything fine, nice it up, them nice it up, and all that." And you think that, oh, because my friend said or my cousin said. Let me tell y'all something. This is something that for years, I can remember when I was a teenager, and I remember I was talking to this one lady, and she was telling me, like, when you come here, and like, as a kid, it's different than when you come here as a grown up. But when you come here, or whether even like if your parents is from there and you was born here, however it goes, what most West Indians pretty much like most of them did was they would come here. They don't have to have the highest paying jobs. They would be working as nurse aides, nannies, housekeepers, right? Jobs like that. Factory workers. But they were sending money back home. And it was building up nice houses. Now the idea is when I retire, right? I got a nice big house. I'm gonna live like a king back in Jamaica, right? Now, if you know, there's a lot of things that go on in Jamaica. Like if you know what the garrison community is, like what that situation has been, then you know. If you don't, you don't. So what happened is this. A lot of people was being extorted. Like people, I remember this one lady I used to work with, and I remember her saying, she said she called the house and she said like all of a sudden the calls just stopped and she didn't know what was going on. And she said she was kind of scared to go there because she don't know what's happening. So she wound up calling relatives, and relatives that she called didn't hear from these particular people, but they was scared about what was going on over there. And they was like, we can't go across the line for the garrison community, this, that, and whatever. But me, things was better, like, no, man, them still do the same thing and all that. So what happened, right? Type of situation, man, where people were being extorted. Now you got strangers in this house that you built. So many different things. All right. But bottom line is this. They didn't have to be doctors, lawyers. They didn't have to be, have, like I said, the highest paying jobs, but they were able to send money back home. Every other week, every month, somebody calling you, can you send me a barrel of thing? A couple of things, some shoe, maybe a couple of shirts, a thing, and this and this. Or everybody packing these barrels up, boom, and sending shit back home. Now, when people leave and come here, to America I'm talking about, right? When they will come here, they have this thought like if you make it in America, like you're good, because if you had it real bad in Jamaica, now just think of what I'm saying. And I don't look down on nobody's job or pay scale. I feel like the hardest workers get paid the less, period. All around the world, I feel like that's the way it is. But if you had to come to America to become a housekeeper or a nurse aide or a nanny, right? Now, you couldn't do the same thing back in Jamaica. If nobody wanted to hire you, if it just was like a situation where the job market is just down, man, and you see a lot of situations where, like, I know some years ago, man, they had these factories, they was owned by Chinese people. And the Chinese people was giving, like, the Jamaicans, they was barely giving them work. And they had lines of people outside. People sending you video clips and pictures, like, what's going on. And people showing up, there's no work today. All this kind of shit, so people fall on hard times. Now, my whole thing was, I never understood this to this day. I do understand this ignorance, but what I'm saying is the brainwashing. Because I'm like, why do our people come here from the West Indies to America and be talking shit about black Americans? You came here to be a nanny. You came here to be a housekeeper. You came here that's what you came here to do. Why not stay back home and do this, right? Because it's hard, man. And they know it. Because if you come here and something happened to you, like say you get arrested for something, they deport you, nobody back in Jamaica want to hire you now. Look at the, what? That's deported, boy. So you're not even fucking worthy of being a Jamaican. You leave Jamaica and come here for a while and go back later. Oh, yeah, just come. You go out fire and all this shit that they would do. Now, Check this out. I used to hear West Indians say things like, they'll go to the UK, they'll go to Canada, right? They actually was talking like they had options, like shit was guaranteed. Yo, Canada, Ontario in particular, Niagara Falls, Clifton Hills. I loved going over there. Always had a lot of fun over there. And I remember saying, like, we used to have so much fun over there. Like, damn, if I left America, that's probably where I would end up going, right? Based on my experience there, right? In terms of the fun we had. Now, my kids were small. But I also said, but I would have to know more than just vacation. I'm talking like day-to-day life out there, what the pay system is like, you know, the type of job availability, like what, like I would have to know what's happening out there. Not just, oh, it's fun, we want to go on vacation, so I want to move there. Like, no, because I mean, you know, you wake up and you live out there in Ontario, you right around everything, you know, it's like it's there all year, not just in the summertime. One thing about Ontario, it gets cold. Ask anybody that live in like upstate New York, live out there in Buffalo. They'll tell you the same thing. It's right next to Canada, and it gets extremely cold. It's very uncomfortable. So all of these things, like economically, you got to know what's going on, right? We would be out there. Sometimes we walk to the stores and stuff, just like go off of Clifton Hills and walk around, and we never really seen much of nothing happening. Now, I remember one time we went there, and some police was chasing this guy down Clifton Hills. Well, before you get to Niagara Falls, there's a big park, like mostly like this big grassy field, you know, whatever that leads to, you know, that long ass street that leads that, like you know, it bottom line, you could say it's a park, but bottom line, he ran and got lost in the crowd and ditched him. So I don't know if they caught him or not, but we started noticing different things happening. So I started really doing my homework, and things happen everywhere. So I'm looking at all of this, and I'm like, yo, first off, vacation is vacation, but we gotta use common sense. When you go live in any country, one of the biggest misconceptions that I know a lot of West Indians have is they think that it's not racist in Canada. It's not racist in the UK until they get there. Man, it's bad, you know. Man, it's so bad, man. Oh, and they start telling you about all these experiences they had, and you like, yeah, what you thought? Because I used to hear people say, they Yankee boy, them lazy, you know. They don't want to work. What you mean? Now, you come here, and I'm like, wait a minute. Let's just get something straight. You come to a country that people were born in, right? They know way more about the country than you do. You think you know the country because you watch the news? Or because you listen to some racist ass people tell you what black people in America are? And then you don't really understand what's happening. I used to see some of the most racist things happen. I remember I used to work, I cursed a woman out for this. We used to work at the same place. We was in two different departments. And I remember it was this one Haitian woman, for example. And it was something happened up on the floors. And they used to love doing this shit. And this is why I hate when anybody do this shit. I'm gonna correct you. I don't give a fuck who you are. Whatever happened with the patient, they worked in nursing. She was a nurse aide. So whatever happened with the patient complained. The family called there complaining. And this patient I know was like a liar, was always just complaining, hollering help, and like she would always throw these tantrums and just pretend, right? Now, you want what you want, you need what you need, but you got a limited amount of people. These aides got to work with everybody. They can't just stop for you the second you want something. They already caught up. They got people up on a Hoyer lift, bathing them and all that. I mean, so there's a lot going on. So what happened was, whatever the situation was, the nursing administrator was talking in front of her like she's not there, like she's not even standing. Did she understand what she did wrong, and what she this and that? And the nurse was talking to her, was Haitian, but she was a nurse, and she was, boy, I told her. And what pissed me off was because the resident was lying, but you know they were talking as if they were little girls talking to a grown adult. Okay. Now, the same person, even though I wasn't in the same department, but the same person, when it was a situation where we had, and the person did that, was talking to the supervisor at the time, did he I said, oh, let me stop you. You want to talk to me, talk to me. But don't stand there with no, oh, just heat under. I'm not ignorant. I can read a whole lot better than you. And I guarantee you I'm every bit as intelligent. Don't ever disrespect me like that again. Well, I know what you was doing. You know, stand up here talking to him, not trying to be funny. He didn't want the strong accent. I can speak English very well. You gonna ask him, does he understand what he's supposed to? The fuck you like? And it was her screw up and the department head screw up, not mine. And he had nothing to even do with that situation. But my point is, I would watch this stuff happen. And every time when they sit in these back rooms, like the nurse lounges, you know, everybody, Bumbo Clyde, she rude, you know. Talk the way like she talk the little pygmy I saw. But you're not saying all that when you face to face with them. They fear that white skin. The same way how you see it, the shit happens in America, and you see like black Americans that's like not putting up with certain things and not going for certain jobs, because they know that they can't, like it's not gonna suit what they need. So they try to become entrepreneurs or do whatever they try. Like you see people. And people will say, but that's not reliable. But you see a person that like DJ, do parties, people that start doing photography, they're trying to work for themselves. It's tough. Nobody's out here just giving you money. Case in point with that is a lot of people went to college and they're stuck paying bills. And they're broke. And they realize, man, you're going to be paying this shit back forever. Like, think about this. And it's expensive to live over there in Canada. Now, Toronto is far more expensive than Ontario. And Toronto is where you have a whole lot of like, there's a big percentage of like French speaking Canadians over there. So you may be in areas where, you know, till you get used to what's happening and where you're going, you might be in areas where like, damn, you could be trying to catch a bus somewhere or something or whatever, and nobody can tell you what you need to know or whatever. It's possible. Okay, and I don't really like Toronto. I like Ontario. I don't really, you know, Toronto ain't my thing. They got a nice big mall out there, but other than that, I didn't really like my time in Toronto, honestly. You know, but Ontario was cool. But they're learning. Same thing. Go to the UK. A lot of Jamaicans, a lot of Africans, they face racism out there, and even from the black Brits that's out there. And people are starting to understand now, like, damn, it's always been this way. The problem with people is they only acknowledge racism when it happens to their ethnic group. And that's fucked up. That is so fucked up. When it happens to someone of their nationality, then now it's racist. It's been racist. And the thing is, like, with Canada, and I think a lot of people don't think about this. Like, when they had the riots back in the 60s, a lot of white Americans went to Canada. So you might see them wearing the Canadian flag on their shirt now, and Canadian is Canada. Yeah, they're not from there. They wasn't born and raised there. They went there because of what was happening, the riots over here in America. And I'm talking like, I remember I met this dude named Michael Frieda, and he used to live on McCarter Highway in Newark, New Jersey. And I remember he was telling me, he said, man, I was here when the riots happened. He said, he's like, brother, what pissed me off, he's an Italian guy, right? A little short, he looked just like Barney Rubble and shit. And he was like, brother, let me tell you something. He said, man, I was so afraid. He said, because, and what gave me, he said, I had he said he owned a meat shop, you know, like a, you know, slicing meat and shit and whatever. So he was just like, and you know, I had no problems with nobody. He said that particular day, man, he said, I was so terrified. He said, I pulled the fence down, and at the time, and you know how you have the store, but you have the apartment upstairs. It was one of those. He said that, man, he was just so afraid. He was hoping like everybody, like people just know that, you know, he's not a part of that. He doesn't have anything to do with that. And but he said, man, it was like a frightening situation. But he looked and he said, I realize even more. He said, I know racism when I see it. I'm, you know, he said, I wasn't stupid. I knew who was doing what. He said, but those riots made me realize even more. He said, because the things I saw police doing to people was horrific. He said, and just you know, just talking to white people, he said the feeling, he said the problem, he said the position I was in is, for one, I'm not even white American, I'm Italian. He said, so I was getting resentment from white Americans in ways. He said, but it was one of these things. He said, because the Americans, the white Americans that I was meeting, he said, the majority of them, you know, they weren't from New Jersey. And this is something that is the same case for black Americans. A lot of them, like, grew up, they came to like New Jersey and, you know, New York and Connecticut, all them places. And then, you know, their kids was born in up north, but they were from the South. So it was different mindsets, right? And the thing is, it was like the white people that came from the South, you know, because they was like, they didn't like living around all these colors, all these niggas, and then there's that, right? Like, if you know about the town of Newark, New Jersey, Newark wasn't always like predominantly black like it had become. And I can just remember him saying like the thing that he saw happen. Other people told me the same stuff about what was going on, but he said, man, he said, I really looked at white people in a whole different light, and I felt disgusted. And he said that he was going to head to Canada. He said, but it just didn't work out that way. But he said he felt so bad. And he said the worst feeling he had, he said all the way down to the pits of his stomach, is when I see a black person and they're looking at me thinking like I'm probably one of them racists. He said I would just make it my business. Hey, how you doing, guys? How's everybody? Like, he said, I know I'm not one of them people, and I just want everybody to know that. So he said, I was just extra nice to everybody. He said, sometimes people will come to my store, hey, how you doing this day? Give them an extra bread or something, extra meat. I would just do things like let them see I'm a different person, you know? And I'm telling you, like, for people that move to a country and don't know anything about the country, other than they got some family out there, and they think they know the whole country or a whole lot about the country. You don't. I know black people that wind up going to Arizona, Texas, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina. I don't want nothing to do with those places. And so when I would see people, I would meet people, and people had all these ideas about like what they're going to do when they get here. And I'm like, y'all make it sound like the world is going to stop because you have an idea. Now, if you running from Jamaica and you over there in Kingston and you dealing with this garrison community shit and you come here, why can't you identify and understand that people have their situations? Because you will say they don't understand the garrison community. They don't even know what the fuck that is, what that is. You know, all right, you don't understand everything either. But it's something about black people, I'm telling you, that we will see each other. I don't care where we from. I don't care about none of that. That person's from Haiti. This one's from Trinidad. This one's from Guyana. And so what? So what? It's just something about black folks that we will see each other and it's almost like, what the fuck you looking at, right? Because it gets to that point. But they will smile at anything that's not black. Remember, and I played y'all that clip of this idiotic gangbanging dumb motherfucker talking about, hey, only people get it past me, white people in Spanish, because they ain't my enemy, but I'm banging on everything black. Well, goddamn, it's like this shit is universal when it comes to black people for the most part. We will see each other, we won't speak. We won't say hello, we won't be kind, but we see anybody that's not fucking black and how are you smiling, and it's like, wow, man, you know. So I'll tell you something, man. I done seen racism everywhere, and I'm not glad that it happens. I'm glad that I was able to identify it, because right there in Canada, in Ontario, oh yeah, I saw shit happen. I just never had it happen directly to me, but I saw shit happen, and I'm like, okay. Actually, and we did have one situation happen. Yeah, we did have one, and that was at this arcade called Midway. And my kids was playing these games and they had all these bunch of damn tickets. And we went and got in line. And there's this white girl standing in line. And this is real shit. She stood there. She looked right over her shoulder and saw us. Now, I don't know what she's doing, but I'm waiting. There was nobody in line. Then it was another black family. And there was another family. I don't know where they were from, but I know they were speaking like with a heavy accent. I don't know if they might have been Indian or something or whatever. But she stood there with her back turned. And as soon as she saw white-skinned people come up, that's when she went right to their lines. Now, we're not trying to, we're like, hey, ma'am, miss, we were here first. Like, and she's standing there looking stupid. And the manager basically came over and she's like, is everything okay? She took us up, but then she wound up, she said, no. She told her, you go over there and you serve those customers. And she picked up where she started from. And the whole time she looking down, looking stupid, right? She know what she did. She know what she did. And I seen a situation too where there was a woman in a restaurant, right? They were wiping the tables off, right? And there was a black family that was coming to the table, and they turned around, and I seen her go. She was about to, and she looking like, just like that. She took her fucking hand and just went like this to push the crumbs off the table. She did not wipe and disinfect the table with spray purposely. And I said, "Excuse me, that family's about to sit here." Right? I said, she looked. I said, right. So why didn't you wipe crumbs with your hands? Did you do that to this table too? Because if you did, we're leaving. We don't eat in pigsty. That's nasty. And she looked stupid like that. And then she gonna stand there and spray the table. I seen this shit happen. Everybody that had white skin, she was smiling, hi, and I saw it, and I said, okay, not glad that it happened. It sucks that it happens. I'm just glad I seen it, because anywhere you go and you can have false confidence, and right now, man, it's the cost of living. It's not just the cost of living. All those things we're talking about, the racism, the bigotry, the police coming for no reason, all this bullshit. When these things start happening, everything just starts to become overwhelming. I mean, think about your life. You go to school. If you go to freaking daycare as a baby, right? You're going to school, some form of schooling. You start kindergarten at 5 years old. Now you go to school all up to the 12th grade. Now whether you go to college, now if you go to college, you're graduating at 22, 24, 26, however long you decide you want to go, keep going back for more degrees, whatever. Now by the time you finish school, more than likely you don't have your own place yet. Everybody don't have the same fortune, but you have all this debt you got to pay. So you're either living in your parents' house the entire time until you get married or something. I know couples that they're married, but they live in one of their parents' houses. They don't charge you anything, so by the time you leave, it's like you want to have something saved up. What happens when you finally get your own place and you still paying student loans, and you still paying, you got to pay mortgage now. You got to pay your car insurance, and if you have a new car, well, you got to pay your car note until that's paid off, or whatever, and everything. You start having kids. Now you got to put your kid in daycare. You got to pick the kid up, take him to school, or pay somebody to do it. Like, the world don't stop for everybody. But what I'm looking at now, I've never seen so many West Indian people at one time crying, literally crying. And this is mostly all the people I'm talking about now that I've seen in this video are all Jamaicans. But I've seen it happen in so many different ethnic groups. It's not just Jamaicans. But this particular situation, what I was watching is Jamaicans are like regretting that they left Jamaica. I tell people this. I say, man, listen, find a way to maneuver without falling on your knees. I know people don't want to hear this shit, but I don't care. I'm being honest. Y'all keep doing this shit and praying, Jah this and Jah that, and get your little chalice and smoke your weed and Jah this and Jah all that. I know, let your dreads out and all that bullshit, but I'm telling you right now, if it takes 10 steps to get something done, man, try to at least have 3 to 4 of them motherfuckers done before you try to leave. Because them other 6 or 7 steps, none of them are going to be easy. So the most grounds you can cover before you leave, if things are that bad where you are, like I know people that left Jamaica, came here and had no money at all. People done the same thing, coming from the south up to the north in America. Same thing, and they had no money, and they just got to figure something out once they get here. Come here and they're homeless until they can find something. And so when these type of things happen, I'm like, if it's now, and this is what I tell people, stop coming here talking all this background. I got that big house like castle, I got a car, got the farm and ting, and got pig, and all right. You had everything, and you left that to come here. Seriously? Like, seriously? Only time you ever seen that fucking happen was on Coming to America, all right? A movie. That's not real. Eddie Murphy coming to America trying to find his wife, his bride. I want the woman that's going, y'all know the story, right? I want the woman that's going to arouse my intellect as well as my lungs, right? And hey, we are poor African students. No, that's all movie shit. That's not real life. Even the characters that they played in movies don't live the lifestyle that they're talking about. It's just a freaking movie that people can relate to somewhat. in terms of his intentions and whatever. That's not real life, man. And so when people come and leave their country, I tell people, man, stop all this bragging because you sound stupid. And that's why people be saying, man, well, why you go back home then? Go back to Jamaica. They're not saying that people that say go back to where you from. Racist people don't know where you from. They just be like, go back to Africa because they see black skin. We ain't talking about that shit. Fuck them. When people tell y'all, well, damn, go back to Jamaica. Well, go back to Guyana. You know, I remember Guyanese guys, you tell me, yo, back in Guyana, man, we walk down the road. You have gold nuggets. You pick the nuggets up, you melt them down, you know, make jewelry, do that rings and all this copper shit, right? But bottom line, you know, scorn me, got a handful of thing, man. I'm looking at the motherfucker like, right, and this is my point. I got this back home. I got cows. I got a big house. I got a farm. But you're not even planning on going back to Guyana. You're going to stay out here and stick it out here. So stop the lies. Stop all this foolish pride. That's why people be saying, well, go back to Guyana then. Goddamn, go back to Trinidad. Because what they're doing is like you come up here and then say, like, for example, you work at the same place as a black American. And you're like talking like you got so much. And they say shit like, yo, me not need this job, you know. I have a fine thing back home, but me just come here, you know, just change your pace and thing. The fuck out of here, man. You got all of these riches back home, but you just came here to suffer? Hey, how fucking stupid are you? And people don't want to hear that shit. And that's why like, so why the fuck don't you go back to Jamaica then? Why you come here if you got so much back home and they be complaining? All these headaches, we're not stupid, man. Me give this boy money. If you tell him, he say, no, I mean, that boy put me in a crisis, man. Can I pay the money? Oh, man, I mean, I don't know what we're going to do. And I'm just like, yo, relax, cool out. Stop pretending. Look, the bigger picture is us making it on this earth. I don't care about where you from. I don't give a fuck about none of that. But people make a big deal. Now they think, we don't need America. We go to Canada. We go to the UK. And now they all like the cost of living is bad. They talking about the racism, the things that they facing and dealing with. And I'm like, yo, look, man, you go to places, not real. You go to like, you know, Portmore, like places that's like the suburbs out there, places where you're like, you have to have big money to live out there, you know, and all it. And understand my point. You're skipping past all that to go to America, to go to Canada. You understand what I'm saying? To go to the UK. Somewhere you just think there's a fortune out there. Man, it's expensive to live in all these places. People say if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. Okay, that's wishful thinking. And it depends on your drive, your hustle, and what you're capable of accomplishing. It's an individual thing. Everybody don't have the same success, but same fortune. Let's just say it that way. But you definitely, nobody's giving you anything, man. Nobody's anything. And if you live in a place where you got to pay your own, like your water bill, your electric bill and all that, you got to pay that. And plus you got to pay your rent. Because you know, if you get a house, you got to pay that shit. You know what I'm saying? But if you get an apartment and you paying all that, a lot of these apartments, man, I know people right now living in fucking, like, yo, they living in townhouses. Yo, their rent is like $4,500 a month for rent. You're not renting to own nothing, just for rent. You know why they're there? Because they're ego. $4,500. And you, listen, the more money you make, the more people spend. If you making like $60,000 a year, and you're paying like $4,500 a month, that's steep. And that's the problem. People spend beyond their means. People don't know how to save money. They're too busy trying to floss. They're too busy trying to live a so-called lavish lifestyle, and they're just making things harder for themselves. So now what you finding out is just to get the bare essentials in this motherfucker. It's costing everybody. So you being Jamaican don't make you no better than a black American. Being a black American don't make you no better than a Jamaican, than a white person. A white person ain't no better than none of us. You understand what I'm saying? Ain't nobody's better than nobody because of what you accomplished and what you have. And the crazy thing, even in Jamaica, y'all, if you from Jamaica, you know this shit. A lot of Jamaicans, when they're home and they work as like nannies and shit, they working for somebody, yo, you know, you got a lot of bougie motherfuckers be treating you like you beneath them, like you lucky that I'm giving you this opportunity, right? Shit like that. Well, when do you want to work for yourself? So this is a lot of reason. And I know that people like, they don't want to stay in Jamaica. I know people, man, listen, I know a couple of people like Tollgate was really a bad place. Was really. And I know people like, yo, I may come from St. Thomas and this and that. You may come from St. Mary, we this, we that, and me that. And all these differences that they try to explain about where I'm from, we do this and it's this and that, right? Now, all of what you're saying, but you still all here, working at the same place, making the same money. What is your point? So I'm hoping that now, the more that people are making these videos, that West Indian brothers and sisters start to wake up and understand, like, yo, we are all in the same boat, man. There ain't no, this is like, I was talking to a female the other day, and she was saying, she said, my boyfriend don't pay me no, he's always in that damn room playing these damn games and this and this and that, right? I said, is he a content creator? She's like, yeah, and this and that. I said, hold up, let me stop you. I hear you. I said, now, I'm not telling you he shouldn't spend quality time with you. I said, I don't know your relationship. I said, do you put pressure on him to make money? I mean, because I like that. I said, no. Is it simple, yes or no? Yeah, she starts smiling. I said, okay. So I take that as a yes. Now, you want to go places. It's expensive to keep your belly fed. Put clothes on your back. You don't work, do you? No. Okay. That means he's doing everything himself. And what you should be is supportive. Because what you're doing, you're going to push him away. He's fine on his own, obviously, right? So he's doing all this extra stuff to help support you. Not even help. He's doing it himself. Be supportive. Don't become a burden. All right? Stand in his corner. Especially when you're not contributing to nothing. And she stood there like, I said, you might not want to hear that, but that's the reality. I said, because I guarantee you he'd rather be single than to be with somebody that's going to keep nagging him and he's doing all this shit to make money. And this is how he's making his money. That's what he do for a living, right? Okay, then, well, he's stacking up his money. Be supportive. You want things, but then you want him to not be able to how he can't spend all this time with you and he's trying to make this money that you want. And she kind of looked like, it started to hit home like, there. You want all these extra things. So I said, yeah, and it would help if you would work. So if you got that mentality like a man's supposed to do it, then you need to shut up and be grateful. Like, for real. And this is what people are doing. They're trying to find ways to make money without having to punch a clock for somebody. And my thing is this. If you are doing business for yourself, you mean tell me you're going to work harder for somebody else than you would for yourself? So yeah, you're going to go out there and make that money. And people are like, that's not the real job. If you say so. But you're in a country right now where you're crying and now you're saying the biggest mistake you did was left Jamaica. So what are you going to do? You know what I'm saying? It's not easy, man. And people understand this now. And this is what Black Americans understood. First of all, people didn't want to hire Black Americans. And then it wasn't that they just wasn't taking the jobs, but certain jobs, what they was paying and what they needed to do was just like a waste of time. So they I'm not talking about somebody who just want to sell drugs and I ain't talking about them. Y'all should have common sense to know that. But the sad part is that's what West Indians thought Black Americans was about. They just want to sell drugs and all. It's like when I tell you, the type of stuff I'm talking about versus the type of stuff that these idiots go on these shows talking about gangbanging and street life. And, it's like I said, man, I'm watching the Nolan Wells case. I'm not into all this. It's not a soap opera, man. I'm not into watching this like it's entertaining because it's not. But for every time I see things and I see these videos of all these racist, hateful ass people, I see all the injustices. And then as soon as you see a Black podcast, like a YouTuber or something, whatever, yo, them niggas official, them niggas really get down like that, yo. That nigga's a street nigga, yo. That nigga's, I'm like, yeah, see, this is what they want to see. This is what racist people want our kids to see. They want us to just like, this is just their culture. No, it's not our culture. Like I said, that's nigger culture. And now people starting to understand, like, damn, it's really hard out here. You think that, your parents a lot of times, especially when the younger you are, your parents can make you think that life is like one big fairy tale. Like whatever it is in life you want to accomplish, they're just people sitting there waiting to assist you. That is not the way this shit works, man. Nobody wants to give you nothing. And when you have uphill battles and it's like people make you think it's just a cakewalk. Oh, go to school, this, that. I'm gonna go to school, I'm gonna get this degree, I'm gonna get that. And then you start realizing, like, damn, I see now that there's always a roadblock. There's always something going on. You think it's easy to just get financial aid? You think it's easy, people just giving you loans, just throwing you money? No, man. Imagine you going to fucking get a loan, right? So you can take a class and the motherfucker tell you don't qualify. You got to make $15,000 a year or less. Who the fuck can live off of $15,000 a year? Who can live off of $15,000? Fuck. I know people right now that's retired. They get like $5,000 a month from retirement. You understand what I'm saying? So basically, in 3 months, you understand what I'm saying? They made $15,000, and you making this in a year, and you have to make that or less to qualify. I'm like, nah. And depending on where you live, things are probably different. You know, they vary from state to state, I guess. But man, it's tough. And people are learning this shit the hard way. I used to tell people all the time, man, we are all the same. Y'all better stop thinking we different because of these fucking accents and all this shit, man. Everything is not what you think. But now you see when you say things, and people, they will always tell me I was wise. What's that saying? Wise before your years, or whatever the fuck. Basically just saying I'm for my age. Like they will always tell me that shit. You too young to be so wise, you know, and all this shit. But then it's like, well, if you feel that way, why don't you take heed? Because now, years later, your asses is going, damn, look at what's happening. Look at what's going on. Now, the people back home, depending on them barrels, now they ain't getting those barrels no more. Now, they stressing and you know, one thing about people, too, they get used to you sending things, and it's like, no, don't depend on me. Get up and work. Do what you can, right? Because I got to make it out here. And they depending on you to keep sending money home. I tell you, they think that you rich till they come out here. And then they think, now it's my turn. They come out here and they like, man, it's so hard. Yeah. Who told you it was easy? Your parents be telling you that. Oh, if you mind your business, nobody will bother you. Oh, if you focus and put your mind to it, you can accomplish anything you want. Oh, you did. Yeah, you think that that's how life is until you start experiencing it. And, you know, if you go to like West Indian people's houses, right? And you see the same with Black Americans, mostly in the South. It happens up north too. It happens pretty much, I guess, anywhere that, you know, Black people are. Somebody does this. You see this shit happen though. Where you go to somebody's house and you got a husband and a wife there, right? You got an uncle or aunt. You got 4 or 5 kids in the house. And then you got like 12 relatives. And the house might have like 3 or 4 bedrooms. Now, people are being taken care of. Then you got people that say they can't speak English. Or they don't, or like Jamaicans speak in, you know, patois and African and, you know, broken English. But you know what I'm saying? Just say there's people that don't even know how to write a check. Right? People that never worked and did nothing. They got somebody taking care of them. So now you got these relatives that's taking care of you. What happens if something happened to the providers? Then what? What are these people going to do? They have no skills. They can barely. Now, imagine if you come from a country where you do speak an actual different language. What you going to do? Something happened to the caretaker, people that's taking care of you. Then what? I mean, it's a lot that goes on. And I think like what's happening is people are being humble to understanding like, yo, you should not have, you know, be judgmental of people where you from or when you go somewhere else. And I'm not talking about bad behavior. I'm not talking about somebody, you know, like I said, I'm not talking about no criminal shit. I'm talking about you just looking at somebody going, that car ugly. Oh, they house so small. You know what I'm saying? Oh, she be wearing some ugly clothes. Oh, you know, you worried about other people. Then all of a sudden you fall on hard times. And like people, they always do this shit, man. Arguing over shit. Who this and that. And what country got their independence first. And who, like all this goofy shit. Yo, you see what's happening now. I'm seeing people crying. I'm watching all these videos. They popping up left and right. I'm like, damn. It's a humbling experience, right? If you make it and get on your feet to the way you want to, you're going to become what? Arrogant. Start, you know, It's great to be humble your whole life. It's never a reason to be a show off. It's never a reason to try to look down on people and act like, your shit don't stink. What's happening right now is serious. Like, it's serious. And I tell people what you're experiencing now, people that's been in this country have already experienced. And either they navigated through it and started doing better, got themselves in a better position, or they're still just maintaining, living the same way. But either way, you're in the same boat. And now that you know that, damn, it's not easier in Canada. It's not easier in the UK. And all like the Jamaicans I know, man, when they come here, they come to New Jersey, they go to Miami, New York. But bottom line is they end up going to places that they find that it's just not easy. Like, because the thing about it is this, right? You can go to Miami, and there can be streets where this whole street is all like Jamaicans, all West Indians. Just like you can go somewhere, New York, San Francisco, different places, and they got a Chinatown, right? You go over here, this whole building, all Ecuadorians. You go over here, those people are all Indians. This whole neighborhood, all this shit, all Jews. There is no country in this world that you can go to. And it's, see that building? Yeah, see that building? See that whole street right there? You see them next 3 blocks? Yeah, all black Americans. No, nowhere. So, case in point, yeah, you have black Americans that have left the country and relocated. Yeah, but there is no, it's just a bunch of black Americans. No, you always see these videos of like people leave and go to Japan. And you would see a motherfucker just walking around, recording stuff and talking to people. He the only black motherfucker that he's seen all day. His reflection. It's not like that. It's not widespread like that. You have some black people that go live in Thailand. But again, I'm talking about, and those are usually retired guys or people that's well off with money, and they probably got a Thai wife, or something. And they go over there and they live and they chilling, And that's another thing. You're less likely to have those problems if you can't accomplish everything that you need in Jamaica. Then you leave Jamaica and you want to go elsewhere. But at that point, unless you just want to change it, like just a different lifestyle or whatever, why would you? Because that's the opposite. Because that's what people do. They leave and work through their youth, and then they send money back home, and you paying a mortgage where you are. One of the biggest problems that people have, especially right now, is the fact that men and women can't get along. So most people are trying to carry everything by themselves. You don't have a partner that's willing to stand with you. That's like, fuck this, we walking hand in hand. This ain't no you do everything. We got this together. If you don't have that, it's going to be that much harder. You already struggling and going through it. Now you have a partner that's sitting up here telling you, you better find a way to get us out of this mess. I remember I met this female some years ago, and I remember she kept saying they was living in D.C. She kept saying that they were leaving. They were supposed to be moving, right? And I remember like I didn't talk to her for like maybe 6-7 months or something like that. And then when I did talk to her, it was, everything was chill. And they were still living in the same place. So another year goes by, they still live in the same place. Right? Now, one day, we were talking, and I just said to her, because she was talking about things that's happening in her neighborhood. And this chick liked to go out and party and stuff. So I remember I just said, you better be careful out there, right? And she's like, yeah, I know. And I said, I thought y'all was supposed to be moving anywhere. And she said, yeah, we supposed to. My father would finally get us out of here. And I didn't go into it. Your grown sister, right? Mother, and two little cousins. Her mom didn't work. She didn't work. Her sister didn't work. They all grown. And y'all depending on your father. So even her, she was taught, and her sister was taught that it's not their job. It's the man's job. This is one of the reasons why couples made it so much better back in the days, because they did this shit together. That's why, like we just went the other day, man. We went, and I see this every time we go. You go to the shore, you go to the amusement park, you go to somewhere like anywhere where it's like a lot of people like that, like amusement parks especially, you'll always see an extremely like older couple. I'm talking 80s, 90s, or whatever. They always see. You want to know what? That's the only couple you're going to see the whole day. That's sitting there hugged up, sharing an ice cream, or just somewhere just chilling, reminiscing on the old days. They probably grew up in that neighborhood, probably grew up going to that amusement park, right? And you look at everybody else and nobody looks like they're in love anymore. Nobody looks like they really happy to be in a relationship. Man, when we was, like I said, when life was simple, man, you could get up in the morning, you and your chick would get up and it'd be super early. The earlier the better. Y'all had them type of kisses that you never wanted to end. You was always together, just always, it was that affection was always there. And by the time you got old enough to be on your own, it was like now we can, and somewhere down the line, it just changed from we're doing this together to somehow is the responsibility of one person. So now you look, one woman is talking about how her and her husband is like having to do so much. It's like, I don't know what I would do without him. And so you understand what I'm saying? And I'm pretty more likely he feel the same about her. What would I, by myself, I got to try to do all this? No, they talking about student loans being paid off, paying the mortgage, keeping the lights, the water running, putting food, and have all this shit that they got to do. And we don't even have kids yet. And it's and right now it's not a good time because we owe so much money that we sitting here. And this is something I really respected this woman said. Hopefully her and her husband stay together. And that they keep that same mindset of dealing with reality. She said that she told her husband, she said, look, baby, I want to have kids and you want to have them. We want to have, I know we both want to be parents. She said, but it's going to be tough because for one, I'm going to be in a position where I can't work. I'm going to be off my feet for at some point where I'm home. She said, then on top of that, she said, that's an extra mouth to feed, daycare. We don't have no family, nobody out here. We got to put them in a daycare. We got to be able to take them to a daycare and pick them up. Everything. It was and whether it's us having a baby, she said, or even if we adopted a baby, it wouldn't be fair to the child and it wouldn't be fair to us. And for us to know right now that this would be a life-changing situation and it's going to make things harder, we may never be in a position to have a baby. She said, but as long as me and you are together, she said, you are my whole world. I haven't heard a man or a woman talk like that to each other. I can't remember the last time. You just don't hear that, right? So when you have that, it's like you can get through it. And whatever headaches that life have, imagine anything that happens, you trying to get through everything by yourself. It's different. It's different. This is why, when I hear these arrogant ass motherfuckers, all you hear people talking about, they ain't talking about investing in anything. They're not trying to invest in anything to try to help other people make money. Everything is just them flossing and talking about, I just got my fucking private jet detailed. Got the Louis Vuitton seats now, and I got this and that. The windows open this way and that way. And they got this and and it's just like this, I got this, I got that. And that's just what they talking about. You know how many of these motherfuckers had that same mentality? Then one day you see a show talking about where are they now, right? Everybody want to live, like I said, this lavish lifestyle, man. Listen. Whatever you try to do in life, that's your business, that's your direction. But people need to start paying attention. I tell people this, man. Start learning how to have fun with each other. Y'all think everything got to be going somewhere, paying a whole lot of money for some ticket to sit and watch somebody sing or watch somebody, do some type of form of entertainment. And basically, this is what your life is. And then you go to work and tell everybody about the show. And then y'all make it a social thing. And everybody's talking about who this and that. And, oh, you watching the Grammys tonight? Oh, you think such and such? Oh, I like that song. She can sing. I ain't last year. This is all I ever hear people doing. I never fucking see people. I don't care where I go on my day to day. You know why this is important? Because it's like I'm saying, we got too many baby daddies, baby mamas, no actual families, no family structure, no family values and morals. All we fucking have is baby makers. The conversations is trash. I'm literally sitting in restaurants and everybody just sitting in cell phone. Nobody's talking to each other. No. How the fuck do you function like that? So there's actually no interest there. So if I don't even want to talk to you, yeah, I probably got a problem helping you do shit. So at the end of the day, this is what you see. So now your load won't ever be lightened as long as you have a person or that's with you that's judging you, that's sitting back expecting you to make a better situation for the both of you, or however many people is involved, instead of saying, no, this is my boo right here. No, fuck that. We got this. I don't understand it. I don't understand how people don't see this. So for everybody that is coming up here from Jamaica, they're starting to see this shit and they're starting to go through this shit. They're starting to go through this. So I mean, and that's one thing that I always experience, right, with my West Indian people, is that you'll have a situation where somebody's wife is living here in America, but the husband lived back in Jamaica, and he like, no, it's cold, man. Me not like it. Too cold, man. Or vice versa. The wife is back home and it's like, yeah, they back home giving somebody jokes, right? Then this shit fall apart. Now you here. Now you have no intentions of going back. Because you and your wife didn't have a falling out and your kids are no longer kids, they're grown. So all this kind of, it's like all these fucking things is happening. And people are just like, it's more than just the economic side of things. It's everything. It's everything. When you settle down with somebody, man, you have kids, all these different things that's life changing. You take a job somewhere where y'all got to move out of state. Y'all got to start over. This is all life changing things that happen. So you really have to understand before you make a move to do anything. Like, what am I really looking for? What is necessary that I want to do? Man, I know one person in particular right now that his living room set, his kitchen set, his dining room set, his refrigerator, his kitchen table, his kitchen chairs and all that, everything that he bought, and plus his big screen TV, his coffee table, everything that he bought, everything. He said everything all together came to $3,000 altogether. Everything. And that and not to mention his bed. And when me and him talk, his furniture, everything looks so good. The house is all, when he bought his furniture, you know what I told him? I said, man, listen, living room sets can be expensive. I said, and this is what I tell people, when y'all see these liquidation places, I know y'all got this pride, whatever, but you go running making somebody else rich. You got a nice couch, but you broke as fuck. And I tell people, man, start looking. Those places be having some really nice stuff, but you know what the problem with people is? They feel like the less they spend, they don't feel like they can brag off of their shit. Man, his house is nice. The way he got his place fixed up, and he got that same setup. It's always a nice, refreshing feeling when you there. It's just like nice, just everything is cool. And I told him, man, don't let nobody come here and fuck up your peace. And I think that's probably why he won't settle down with nobody, because it's like, man, I'm good. And I tell people, man, once you've been married, and it's up to you what you choose to do, but once you've been married, if that shit fall apart, man, you might as well focus on yourself. Date when you want to date, and just spend your quality, just chill. Enjoy the rest of your motherfucking life, because we don't know how long we're going to be here. And everybody keeps saying, I don't want to die alone, and I need, you don't understand yourself at that point. It's hard out here, man, and you don't need no dead weight laying up with you and helping you to have a mindset of just go. You get burnt out emotionally. You get burnt out mentally, man, and physically. It's like you just never have a break, and you're working hard at everything. And this is like a big thing, man. People calling me, Same thing, like, yo, you know, such and such number. Why? No, because Mary Jo's here. She been at my place for the past 2 weeks, but I can't just keep them here because this and that and that and this and that, that. Also, now you want to see if such and such can take them in for or whatever. And, shit is happening because you got people like your name is on a lease. And then it's type of shit where landlord find out you got people in, shit like that. And I get it. But it's what I'm telling you. You got people that's going through it bad. I know when I was like in Canada, like I said, man, I love my time. Every time I go there, we always have fun. But like I said, you can't be somewhere for a week or two and then you know everything about the place. Like, nah, and we've been there several times, many, many, many times. But when we started to see the racism and the same shit, and you realize like everywhere you go, it just takes a little bit of time. It's just like if you come home from work and go home. You don't really do shit outside, but maybe cut your grass or somewhere, but you just go from your house to your car, from your car to where you're going, back to your car, back home. And you're not really, it's a whole lot of shit that goes on in the neighborhood you live in. And you might not even be aware of none of that shit because you're just not around it. You know what I mean? So you got to always just understand like where you're going and why. A lot of people want things, but they put themselves in a position of they want so much. Like I know somebody just bought a $3.5 million house. And he really just wanted to show his house off. And he's like, yeah, man, I got this, I got that. Yeah, man, you see my pool inside? Yeah, no. I'm not hating on this dude or nothing. Yeah, you got that, cool. And I just told him, I say, hey, humble yourself, man. Oh, no, I ain't saying like that. I'm just, humble yourself. Because, I know everybody want to talk. I got this, I got that. But when they go through hard times, they don't want to be like, I got evicted. Yo, this happened, that. Yo, just chill, man. Relax. Because even when you get to a certain point in your life where financially you're good and you got that house you wanted away, man, ain't no guarantee that something is not going to go wrong. You might be fine. You might be one of them that can make it and keep it going. Great. But a lot of people will find out the hard way, man, that nobody give you nothing. And it's not just an America thing, man. You can go anywhere you go. Nobody is just giving you anything. And people are starting to realize that damn racism is every fucking where. I don't know why people are so in the dark. I don't know why people are so in the dark. But I used to tell my West Indian people, like, man, stop coming here with that bullshit mentality. Y'all keep thinking y'all got so many options, like people just dying to get Jamaicans and Guyanese and Trinidadians and everybody over there and all that. Like, nah, man, you everywhere you go, you're going to face something. There's going to be something you don't like. We went on vacation. I remember we went to Cancun, Mexico. And the people at the travel agency was telling us, stay together. Stay in groups. I would really avoid the nightlife. Like partying and clubbing and all that. It's like so many Americans go to Mexico and they don't make it back and they never find them. And we know that these things that are happening, it's just no accident and all of a sudden people just disappear. Things are happening. So, but you got people that they'll hear that. They get over there, they hear the music, they start walking around, they see the lights. And one thing about Cancun, I remember every time we went there, you go up certain streets, man, and they got like somebody be outside. Hey, my friend, hey, right? They all want to, whatever. They outside and shit, man. They got the music playing inside, got the doors open. They try to invite you in. They want to offer you things. Most of these people are trying to sell you timeshares and things like that. And then you just got people that do things that, you don't know what their motives are. And it's like once you get to the point where you walk and they're like, all right, hold up, y'all. Well, like, there's no more bright lights and all that. Now you can see houses. We starting to get to, all right, let's turn around. Yeah, but let's turn the fuck around. And people get attitudes in it. And you go downtown where we were in Cancun, man, and all the little shops is like, everything's outside. It's like little curtains that separate one store from the next store. You walk through and all this little shit and all whatever. And I remember going to a Walmart out there, but it's just like, yo, let's go the fuck back to the fucking resort. We don't know where the fuck we are. We not, like, because there's always somebody hard-headed. There's always somebody that want to do some dumb shit. And then when something goes wrong, then it's, oh my God, I'm so sorry and shit. And it's like, yo, look. And I told motherfuckers, if anybody got a fucking problem with what I'm saying, I'm telling y'all right the fuck now. Because I ain't want to go be walking down the street cursing people out. No, I wait till we got back to the hotel. Stay your fucking stupid asses on the fucking result, man. Everything you need. If you need feminine products, everything. They got every fucking thing on campus. Stop with this bullshit. Because somebody always just want to go wander somewhere. And it's like, yeah, okay. And even before we went, I can remember, of course, you got Mexican people from there. They, oh, nice, Mexican, yeah, right, I know, but your ass live in America. But then you had Mexican people telling you, no, brother Aries, be careful, man. That place is bad. Stay on your hotel. Don't go to no stores and no little shops and that, no souvenir. No, just stay on the hotel and this and that and that and this. Because you got to think about this too, right? Think about this. We went to Cancun, and part of the package deal was that even if we don't buy the timeshare, that we agree. And I didn't like that shit because I wasn't even aware of this shit at the time. That those stipulations that we agreed to go on the boat with this motherfucker. He take us from the motherfucking, not to mention they drive like maniacs and shit. Motherfucker, man, the way they be driving, ain't no somebody hit you and you gonna die. So we cross from the hotel. We'll go across to this boat launch. We get in this boat. Now this motherfucker offering us breakfast and shit. I'm sitting there the whole time just like. So we get over there, we in the boat. Now, this is all the, yeah, just imagine we get to do this and we on the boat and we get to the the spot, we get to the villa, we over there, we eating and shit and all, and he just talking and being super friendly. I looked at him though. While we was in that boat, I said, listen to me, man, just so you know. I said, before you got in the boat, we're not interested in the timeshares. We're only going through this because that's part of the package. That and I was just aware of it that morning, but I didn't tell him that. But anyway, I said, so nothing that you're going to say is going to make us change our minds. Now, I'm telling you this because I know you think that I feel this way now, but once I see everything is going to change my mind. No, it's not. I'm just telling you that. So don't take us over there with no expectations that we going to, all of a sudden we want the timeshare, right? And we didn't. And I'm telling you, well, all right, that's okay, my friend. But we see it, and then when he come talking about this is what it costs, and I said, I told you we're not interested. Oh, he got the long face instantaneously, like we wasn't supposed to say no. And I'm waiting for this motherfucker to say, man, I feed you or so good. I ain't asked for your little fucking breakfast. I told you this shit, right? And I'm, listen, let me tell y'all something. And that's when we went down there. That motherfucker tried to threaten us because we reneged on the deal. I tell people, don't do nothing you don't want to do. But I ain't going into all of that. But yeah, it was about to get ugly for that little motherfucker. And trust me, if we wouldn't have made it back, I'd have made sure that he was never, no, believe me, it got serious. And that was me. We had been to Cancun several times already. You understand? But you keep going somewhere. It's like where you live. Where you live, you can do the same things on a regular basis. And then one day you come across somebody that just don't understand how to be a good human being, right? So all of this shit that happens, it ends up being a situation of, you're sitting up here trying like to have a good time and enjoy yourself. What makes you think that if you move somewhere, and when that happened, it made me think like, what if that was a type of place where because you go somewhere and people tell you, oh, I got a house over at that place. We got stocks over there. And you think like, man, we ain't no rich mogul ass motherfuckers. Got all this, like security and shit. And like, you understand what I'm saying? You think like, what if the same type of shit happens? Like the same mindsets, right? Of people places that you've been, but you haven't witnessed this shit. You haven't experienced it yet. And then everything, and you start looking at everything, like everything you do that's going to change your lives. It could be for better or for worse. You don't know until you do it. But a lot of times you do have an idea of if it's going to be better or worse. Because I'm going to tell you, right now, when you look at what it costs to live in a certain place and you say, I want to move there. You got to think about the job market. And you got to think about, am I going to be able to, what are we going to be able to do? Where are we going to live in the meantime? Because it's not like somebody going to say, hey, come live here. I won't charge you anything. And then you can just go get your dream house after you get the money. I mean, mothers and fathers do that shit, with their sons and daughters. Certain people do that with certain other relatives, but most of the time when that happens, it's those relatives are being taken care of because they can't do it themselves. But you understand what I'm saying? Like, life just is not designed like that, man. And I just found this video interesting because I was telling people I like Ontario, and like I said, my kids was having so much fun. I always have fun out there. I said, but when I really look at it as far as moving out there, I said before that would probably be the place I'd move to. I said, but then I'm like, even after I said that, I came to the conclusion of understanding, like, but I'm not sure because I don't know. All I know is what it's like to be out there on vacation, having fun, splashing in the water and going all these different places and everything that's out there. This is all the type of stuff you do on vacation. So what I was saying is when you live out there, over off Clifton Hills, you right there where everything is. So I said, cool. And we drove around and seen some real nice houses. They had a lot of those, like, what you call those houses, man? Like, I forget what you call them, but them like old fashioned houses. Anyway, I forget the term, but bottom line, we seen some nice stuff out there, and I said, damn, and look, just imagine if we lived right here. Because they had like a couple of houses for sale. But bottom line is, it's a whole different life. A whole different life. And we're not talking about going just to another state. It's a whole different life when you go from state to state, But you talking about now a whole different country now. So, like I said, understanding how things work over there, and the police over there is every bit as corrupt as they are over here in America. Now, we got to see some nasty police fucking attitudes even going through customs and shit. So I was like, you know what? A lot of times you think the grass is greener. And then you realize, you know what? I'm better off where I'm at. So now people are starting to see that life is not what they fantasize about, or those relatives that's telling you how great it is until you get there. And I'll tell you one thing about a lot of people. They'll tell you something is so great. Oh, yeah, man, you should come here. Yeah, this and that. And, right. And then you get there and you realize, like, the more they talk, now they'll start telling you about all the bad shit. Why you ain't telling me all that beforehand? And it's not the same, man. It's just not the same. Nothing is cheap over there. And I tell people, if you do decide to go to Canada and you worried about finances, then you better stay away from Toronto. You better stay away from Toronto. And like I said, like for me, I mean, there's different places in like Edmonton. And bottom line is everywhere you go, you have to work. You have to work hard. Nobody's going to give you anything. And your plans is just your plans. The same way how people, stick it out in America, the same way Black Americans don't get up and run because times get hard. You have some of them do, but like I said, it's not a whole lot of Black Americans running, leaving America. And America is in a really fucked up position right now. And as long as this fucking tangerine is in office, it's going to be like that. As long as his administration is in effect, it's going to be like that and worse. But, we always hear and we tough out everything that we deal with out here. When you go somewhere else, one of the reasons people leave America is they try to escape racism. They trying to escape all this bullshit, and they go somewhere else and realize, man, goddamn, these motherfuckers out here just as bad. And now you starting to see, like, you see videos of Jamaicans, and I've gotten phone calls from people, like people I know personally and all that, but you see these videos that they're complaining about finances. They complain about the cost of living, and how even when you go to college, it's like a curse more than a blessing, because everything is so expensive, man, that you really can't enjoy the money because you spend all your time working. So now all of a sudden you and your husband don't have that quality time anymore. And then if y'all have a type of hours to where you're going, he's coming, you're coming, he's going, or you work opposite weekends, it's like now it's just such a struggle. And one of the worst things that families do when that happens is they the husband and the wife divorce. It's not the same. the chemistry's not there. We don't make love anymore, and we didn't. Now, what you gonna do? Meet somebody and try to bring your misery into somebody else's life? Like, families need each other. It's as simple as that. Families need each other. I know people who were saying, I ain't gonna have my kid out there working and this and that, and had her ass up on her shoulders. Her husband used to just look at her like, and they got to a point where they're fortunate that the daughter and the son didn't mind working. They were working, and all of them was paying bills and making that shit, making ends meet together. The son and the daughter said, Mom, Pop, we are not kids. All right, we here as a family. And he told the mother, stop acting like that. You act like what you got, like some ego? How you worried about we here? We got a roof over our head. If it's not for us doing what we doing, then it's more of a struggle on y'all. And all this overtime. And you can't make your job give you overtime. The overtime has to be there. Right? But that's what you find. The older you get, the harder you're working harder. And people want to lighten that load, man. But what's going to happen if you just keep making the same bad decisions over and over? And I tell people, one of the key elements that you want to have in making it in this world, if you single, then you know that you're doing it by yourself. I don't trust roommate situations. I don't like the idea of that. There's too many things can go wrong. But when you in a relationship and the person don't want to help you, I don't like that idea either. It's a waste of time. I'm telling you, a man and a woman need to be together. If you don't have kids, don't go make babies until the time is right. If you do have kids, don't put yourselves in a position where you're going to make things harder, for yourselves and for the kids. But I'm telling you, and now that they're seeing it and they're showing you this, everything Black Americans have dealt with in America, now you see for every West Indian man and woman that's coming here, or the UK or Canada or wherever, and they're complaining about how things are not what they thought it was going to be. Well, now you see. And that's pretty much for people that ain't really been anywhere. And they, like I said, they judge things based on what they see on TV or what they hear somebody say that they know, and not really understand. And that's why I do my homework on everything. That's why I question everything, because it's your life. It's your life. But now, yeah, if you West Indian, if you have West Indians in your family, or whatever it may be, and you see what's happening, this shit, it hits you. Because they're starting to see this shit now. Finally, in 2026, they're starting to see this shit. And I know somebody that was talking about going to Kingston, and what they was talking about, they was like, yo, that's right in the heart of the Garrison community. No, you're mad, man. No, we're not go there. Oh, but we know the politician thing, and we cool with them, man. Them cool, And like, no. And the wife put her foot down, and she started crying because she said, I'm not going. She said, I never in my life picture myself being away from you, but I'm not going to no damn Kingston. And that's where they came from. Somehow, somewhere, the fucking husband just had it in his head like shit was going to be different because, the politicians there, people we know. And so you want to be a tyrant. You're going to become a tyrant. Like, and, they end up not going. But he was very headstrong. And I told him, I said, you're a fucking idiot. You're going to fuck up with your wife to go move to some fucking Kingston. Why you leave it in the first place? Because of the Garrison community, but it better now. And then I'm like, so what? So what? And so you put that over your wife? Well, and your kids, because nobody wanted to go back there. And his kids was basically born here. And not only were they born here, but the life that they got used to here, they not going to have that in Jamaica. And he was a fucking old-fashioned guy, man. He wanted that to this day in 2026, he still, used the term Waterhouse. Yo, we got the Waterhouse on me, this and that, and one of them, use them old ass Jamaican terms. He wanted them and it's like his kids wouldn't have liked it there, man. When you come up everything, Boshman, they're all going to the carnivals and dancing. That's what you used to. You know what I'm saying? And it's like you get older at some point, you like, ain't that shit no more, man. But, this is what it is. Now I got people calling me like, you was right, me should have listened. You tell me, say it's not good, man. Just tell people like, listen, y'all keep thinking that America is a gold mine. Y'all keep thinking that you leave and go somewhere. Like you just think there's some opportunity there. You got to learn how to make it where you are. You have to do your best, and you got to align yourself with people that, like you got to depend on you. But if you're going to be around people, align yourself with people that have positivity about themselves. I think the problem with a lot of people too, man, is like they have this ego. They don't want to say, "Oh, I work as a nanny," or I work in a hotel or something or whatever. But if they work for some rich person, a person that's in Jamaica that got big money, then they'll feel like that makes them validated. I knew an African lady. I remember she was telling me how back in Africa she would make outfits for royalty and all this stuff. And she was just so sure that it was like she was going to do the same thing. And I'm like, "Who you going to make clothes for here, the president?" I said, "Look, if you design clothes and you can," I said, "Great." I said, "But you got to understand, it's different. And you're one person. You don't have a factory. You don't have a team of people. It's just you. Now, designing something for the same couple of people over and over is one thing." I said, "But it's different in America. As far as that being a hustle." And she was, "Oh, I just watch. I'm going to do." I said, "Well, I hope it worked for you. I'm not telling you that. I'm saying it's definitely not what you think here. It's different, And you know what happened? She never got that sewing business off the ground. And I remember she telling me it's so different. Yeah, this is what I'm telling you. They have stores out here. You know what I'm saying? No, ain't nobody walking around calling themselves royalty and depending on somebody to sew clothes for them. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like whatever you was doing back in Africa, that shit is not happening right here. I mean, if you open up a cleaners, you understand what I'm saying? Something like that. I mean, that can work, but and y'all know things are not like they used to be anyway. How many times I don't even see cleaners anymore? I don't even see cleaners. I don't. There was a time I was a kid. They used to have places that people used to go and get their shoes, the heels on their shoes fixed or stuff, or whatever. They used to go had shoe shiners, motherfucker, them big ass chairs sitting up, motherfucker, go up there. "Hey, shoe shine boy," man, they shining these shoes. You don't see that shit no more. Used to have TV repair shops all up and down the streets and everything. Like, it's a different life. Things change. So, she was that kind of fucked with her. And I told her, I said, I get it, Doris. Her name Doris. I said, "Doris, but you gotta understand, when you come from somewhere, a place where something was real, like it was a prominent thing, you gotta do your homework before you go somewhere else and just assume it's the same thing." So, I mean, I'm not telling you can't do something in that field where it's successful. What I'm saying is you got to rethink it and understand, like, no, it's not the same. Like, who do you know here? You know what I mean? That you want to make clothes for them and all of a sudden they paying you big money for it. Like, so you're talking about designing something. You can, if that's what you're doing, you can make outfits, but like you need to try to get in touch with like some of these modeling agencies that have like they do, have they models and try to see if you can get down with you got clothes that you're making and then you have people modeling your clothes or some type of deal with some of these stores. I mean, it's things that can happen, but you got to know what you're doing. And you got to learn about, it's a lot of things. It's a lot of things. You know what I mean? A lot. You don't just all of a sudden, "Oh, I can sew," have a conversation. Next thing you know, you making big bucks. It don't work like that. Nobody's going to give you anything. And now people are seeing like that it's just not what you think. So now for all of these people saying they should have just stayed in Jamaica, if you're saying you should have just stayed in Jamaica, that means things wasn't as bad as you thought they were. You had nothing else to compare it to. But now since you've left, now you realize, damn, I was good. I know people watch these movies, they see these videos, and they think there's just, like I said, this lavish lifestyle. Everybody want to be, everybody want to be rich. Everybody just want more and more and more to the point where they don't appreciate what they have. And it's fucked up when you see people, go through this kind of stuff. But like, hey man, this is what it is. So now they're regretting that they left to go to Canada. And it's a lot of Jamaicans. When every time I go, the majority of the people I see every time I go, like one ethnic group of people is like Indians and Arabs. But I see a lot of Jamaican people. A lot of them. Now we talking about being on the resorts. So just like how I was thinking, they probably was like, we could come live out here. Like, but they get out there and they live out there. And it's like, damn, now the other things that we did not know of, that we wasn't thinking about when we was having all this fun on the resort. I mean, out there in Clifton Hills and at the waterfalls and everything. Like I said, and they finding out that it's not what you think, man. It is not what you think. Before you move anywhere, first things you think about, the job market, crime rate, all that kind of stuff, like where you moving to, all this type of shit. And data don't always give you everything, because one of the things that you have a big problem with is moving somewhere. And let's just say, even if you don't have a problem getting a job, you could go move somewhere and be in one of the racist neighborhoods in that whole fucking city that you in or whatever. Shit happens. You need to know what's happening. But finances, racism, rejection, everything that people are going through now, they want to go back home. They want to go back home now. And I guess the moral of the whole story is really simple, man. Appreciate what you have. Because when you don't, your greed or your delusion, your lack of not knowing the real story, the truth, the whole truth, will cause you to give up on something and realize, I could have just built off of what I had. I could have just worked hard. I could have did something different. But instead, nah. And the thing is, it's not like you coming over here to be entrepreneurs. You coming here to work for somebody. So even going to college and all that, everything is about punching the clock for somebody. And you feel secured and feel, more secure in your job for somebody to be giving you orders than for you yourself to be your own boss. And, I always hear, we strong people, we are Tali, we are Jamaican, we are Tali, right? Okay, so make that mean something. Fuck the ego shit. Understand? Yeah, we strong people, but don't fucking put that shit in your head that there's somewhere out here where we're gonna go and people are just walking with open arms. I've been waiting for all you Jamaican people to come over here. And like I said, this is not just Jamaican people, but it's all Jamaican people that I'm seeing right now that's going through this situation. It's tough, man. It's tough. I don't care where you from. You see it happen out here in America. Same thing. But it's just people going from one state to another. More so than from America to another country. But it's the same type of mindset. If I leave here and go there, you go somewhere. One of my relatives went to go move to a certain place in America and got there, and the place that they were working for closed down. Now it's like, then they had to go find somewhere else to work. Then lost their significant other. So now everything is, that person got to do everything by themselves. And that could be scary when you somewhere, you don't know nobody, you by yourself, and it's just you doing everything. It's like, damn, now you can't fall apart. You got no choice but to fight. And so when you have that in you from the time you're young, you will be more resilient than someone who's basically been home till they was 35, 36 years old, and then finally got out on their own, and then shit go wrong, and they like, man, I can't, I don't know. And people say when you got a degree, there's always a job. That's not necessarily true for everybody. And one of the things for sure, and I've always hated this, is when you graduate from anything, and whatever type of course you were taking, and then now the excuse is you don't have hands-on experience. Well, when am I going to get that if y'all keep passing me by? So with this course, just a waste of time. And people starting to go through this. I mean, look right here in America. Every time you turn around, teachers needed, nurses needed, school bus drivers needed, make 100K a year, driving 18-wheeler, right? All this to everything. And you like, why are these jobs always hiring? Hospital closed down. Who the fuck see that coming, right? So it's not easy. It's not easy. But this is what's going on. We need to turn around in life for so many different things, man. This is why I say people better start appreciating their life and stop taking shit for granted, man. But hey, that's my thoughts. That's all I got for y'all. Catch you guys on the next video.